We're live here on, what is today, Wednesday, April 29th, 2026 in House Transportation. Given the kind of change in the floor schedule, the DMV asked us to bump their testimony so that Renee wouldn't be here waiting around for a while. And Damian happened to be ended up available after 2:45, and he has this 45 minutes from 3 to 3:45, and I'm asked him to come up and see what we could possibly check off. And go from there. And I guess it's going to be a question of which one we want to start with. Well, which one you want to start with? I did get an update on personal flotation device, and it's entirely our choice. We want to make that fine $0 because it's civil. It will not carry any fiduciary fees on top of that, so it would truly basically make any enforcement a warning. So if that was the intent of the sponsor and of that section, then I'm comfortable with that, but I want to make sure, so we're talking about section 21, that we can make the choice to make it a $0 fine. If you have a $0 fine, you do not pay a judiciary fee, and in effect, the judiciary came back and said that you made a warning, which was, I believe, the intent of the Representative Garofano and of the lady from the YMCA that testified. That's okay. So the question, I see thumbs everywhere. That was quick. We are adding section to what we would consider that section 21 is moved in as thumbs up. The way it stands, wait a minute. No, education piece. Did we have, I'm not sure, Damon, that puts you on the spot. Did we have a little bit of a blurb about saying that we want them to educate with the Parks and Rec, the Fish and Wildlife, and the...
We do.
Coordinating. We don't want to tell them how they have to do it. We want to say in consultation or coordination or some words that would make it the intent without the exact how to.
It's helpful for the committee. I have a working draft that I can share. It has not been edited, but that might help us button up that language completely. So just give me a second to give this the right appearance. I'll send it to Gabby so that she can post it.
Instead of asking you where you want to start, I guess I picked it.
That's fine. That's fine. So let me send this to the committee and Gabby, and then I'll take you right there to the language I've drafted, and we can pick it apart and edit it as we go. For the record, I'm Damian Leonard from the Office of Legislative Counsel. I think I forgot to say that. All right, I just sent everybody the draft. Should be in your email shortly. Let me log into the committee meeting. Gabby, is it the same link from this morning?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. All right, let me find that language. It's the PFD language, right? No. All right, so first, the committee had asked to have language that made it so that it would not be subject to a penalty or able to go to the Judicial Bureau. So I consulted with my colleague, Michelle Childs, this morning, who staffs the Judiciary Committee. And the language that we've got here provides that a violation of the subdivision that creates the new life jacket or PFD requirement shall not be subject to the penalty, which is the $50 penalty, or constitute a traffic violation. And that second part is important because the Judicial Bureau has jurisdiction over traffic violations, and anything under $1,000 in Title 23 is considered a traffic violation, unless it's otherwise designated. And in a couple instances, there are groups of penalties that are designated as not being traffic violations, but this will take it out of Judicial Bureau jurisdiction. So you don't have to worry about the Judicial Bureau fees, even for a $0 penalty. And there's no $50 penalty. So this would just become a warning.
Okay.
What happens if you know, like, you get a warning and then either happens again and again, or, you know, the wildlife officer or whoever comes says, oh, you know, according to law, you have to wear a preserver, and then say, I'm not wearing.
With this language, there are no enforcement teeth. So the Fish and Wildlife Officer can write you a warning, can ask you to put on your life jacket. There's no penalty for not doing it. They may be able to cite you for not following the lawful instructions of a law enforcement officer. I'm not familiar enough with the criminal law to know exactly what the requirements are for that. So you may be able to get a related citation.
Yeah.
But I think in general, for the act of not putting on your personal flotation device, even if, you know, they catch you 6 times in 6 weeks, there's still no penalty for that. Yeah.
Just curious, yeah.
You could potentially get cited for other things.
It's the education.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
No more.
okay, the education piece, getting to that. A new section would be added. So the section numbers, because all of the corrections language that was in H549 that has now been signed into law by the governor has come out, all the section numbers have changed throughout. So the new section 19 would be require honor before September 30th, the Department of Motor Vehicles and of Public Safety, in consultation with the Coast Guard and the Departments of Fish and Wildlife and Forest Parks and Recreation, shall develop and implement a public education and outreach campaign to make the public aware of the requirements. Not edited, so there are still typos in here. Make the public aware of the requirements of the new law related to the use of personal flotation devices from November 1st through May 1st. The outreach campaign shall include signage at boat ramps and other locations from which boats are regularly launched. So bear with me on the typos here.
Representative Burke and Representative.
I wonder if, does it need to say like the one state programs or the programs? This is like anywhere.
We can only put signage at our own boat ramps, so.
Representative.
Yeah.
If you're all set.
I just wonder what the cost of this is. I mean, how many boat launches do we have? Although it says regularly launched. I just think that this might be a big project to put more signs at boat launches. I mean, there's already some, you know, maybe we should get some testimony on this of like, how much would this be? I mean,
Yeah, I can't answer that for
at
you.
least 100 boat launches. or more, I would guess. And so this becomes quite a big project.
It's gotta make the signs.
They gotta print the signs, yeah, put them up. I don't know.
So can I make a suggestion? So we're treating this as a, well, it's obviously regulated in our sector. So it seems like this could be maybe announced on the My DMV portal. Seems like a way to just let people, hey, new rule for Vermont. And also the Department of Public Health could, Department of Health could help too. And, maybe that's a start. And the other thing is, it just getting information out to, like, places where people, I guess we can't.
I voted to merge it.
Yeah, I don't know, like West Moline might, be a partner in this. I don't know, we could, that's not our job to figure out, but it seems like there are opportunities to just get started with this.
230 sites.
Yeah.
Now, some of them aren't used as much, but
Why don't you just go ahead and delete that? Yeah, there's no way we can go down that path. Yeah.
I think that Representative Lally's suggestion to include Department of Health as one of the collaborators makes sense. And maybe we can craft a sentence that addresses the outreach campaign with some reason. So, to begin working on an outreach campaign that would include communicating with boat retailers. I think that these entities could get together and say, okay, where's the low hanging fruit? We've got boat retailers, we've got people working at different boat launches. So, because I think it's a valid point, like signage could be an expensive, onerous operation if we were to say every boat launch in Vermont that we have authority over has to have signage, but so, some kind of communication plan within reason to begin to alert people of this new regulation within reason.
So, one option is you can say, generally, we don't get too prescriptive on outreach campaigns. But one option is you could say the outreach campaign shall include, outreach to retailers, municipalities, and other water safety organizations, or something along those lines.
Red Cross, swim lessons aren't really, because we're talking about boating.
Yeah, again,
A media campaign,
I could see Vermont Edition.
Yeah, public service. public
Yeah.
service announcement,
Yeah, just making people aware,
yeah, and maybe.
you may want to also just hear from them about what their standard outreach campaign involves. Because with the different options here, you can get prescriptive about, we want stuff on state websites, we want to provide stuff to news outlets and retailers and municipalities and other water safety groups. You can say all of that. They may already be planning to do that. So it may also be worth asking what the plan would be. Or it may be that, the outreach plan isn't as broad as you'd like. But I can certainly draft something up that prescribes who they need to reach out to. Sounds like the signage at boat ramps, which was a comment from earlier, the committee is feeling more like that needs to come out and maybe be replaced by a different approach. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, no, I think we just gotta limit and let it just broad enough to give them discretion, but just, basically, this organization should shall have online literature and written literature that is provided to, then, we can do suggestions, maybe submitted to or wherever, whatever they need to send.
I mean, you could say,
Examples, they send it out to me.
shall include online and written information
Yeah.
that's made available
To X, Y, and Z, yeah, leave it at that.
and
Just
then,
change the word shall to could include. We'll get to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would just say, the shall should be at least the minimum online, and then the written literature, and then the may would be where did they distribute it to?
okay,
Yeah, would be mine.
all right, so how about,
Representative Case?
Hey, from a year from now, are we gonna get a report of how many people were warned?
No. Yes, was that what you're asking? Would you like to submit one?
I'm curious how effective, this whole thing is. It's it's a common sense thing. That's what it says to me is common sense, I guess. When, sometimes I hunt off the Hudson River, I throw a life vest on, just because I don't want to tip over, but I don't need everybody to tell me, I'd be honest with you. It irks me that we gotta tell adults to put on a life vest in the middle of the winter. When actually the lakes can be frozen most of the time. So you got a little window in the beginning and you got a better window in the end. But is there somebody gonna be sitting at a boat launch to tell you, hey, he's got better things to do at that time of year, both in the fall and the spring, but
Sometimes the game wardens hang out at the launch.
yeah, during duck season.
I have someone during the summer just was checking people for lead checks.
During the summer, I
Yes.
can understand this law doesn't apply during the summer.
right, so. Okay. So. First change in consultation with the Department of Health in addition to Fish and Wildlife and Forest Parks and Rec. And then second change shall include online written information. Should be which may be distributed to municipalities, retailers, and public and water safety organizations. Is there another one that I forgot? Does that capture? Sort of capture. But I think public and water safety also, this can be, it can be everything from police and fire to, groups that are teaching boating safety courses and so forth. Right. So, but it also allows some discretion for the departments as to how they distribute it once they've created the information. And of course, at any time, folks are free to pull this information off the state website and distribute it, as part of like summer camp or whatever it is where they're teaching water safety. Okay. All right. What's next? Do you want me to? Let's see. I have updated signage for Smuggler's Notch language. You want to look at that? Section 4 in the updated draft, it would be after the Smuggler's Notch penalty section.
A whole new, or it goes in its own section, it doesn't stay in the other section or whatever.
It goes in its own section because it's not a permanent statute. It's session law that says that they shall update the signage to reflect the changes. So, the language is basically provides the agency shall update signage leading to Smuggler's Notch that relates to the prohibitions and penalties set forth to make drivers aware of the increased penalties for operating an oversized vehicle in Smuggler's Notch that are imposed pursuant to Section 3 of this Act. So it's basically because we just updated it, update your signage, make sure that folks are aware. It doesn't require them to necessarily put the penalty on every sign, but it requires them to make updates throughout. So I think this morning you were hearing that the penalty is on several of the signs. And so they would need to go through and update those signs to make sure the penalty is visible.
They'll just update their electronic signs.
I'm sure that the electronic sign would be part of this. I don't know if all the signs that show the penalty are electronic. So some of them will be physical and they'll need a plate covering it with the new amount. Or possibly a new sign, but
I would just say it's not their first rodeo. I'm sure they can educate the public and handle it.
Yeah.
Signage, I don't think we need to be overly prescriptive at all. They've been dealing with this for quite some time.
I didn't want to vote out of the represent like the shoes on any of this. He's not here.
We don't have to.
Yeah, we can, but I don't, Patty, I think was pretty strong about that.
Connor is a no and you're supposed to vote.
We also have plenty of time to get off.
I have the language proposed to solve the concerns about the salvage titles as well. So
We have a confirmation agreement between all the parties.
we do.
What section would that be now?
So that is now the next section, section 5. And it's a slight change from the prior language. So let me move this up. So the previously, where it's now highlighted in yellow in the new languages, it said the issuance of a certificate of title pursuant to this section. And they are just looking for indemnification based on the electronic documents. So if you're submitting documents with an electronic signature, you're indemnifying the department because they weren't able to, they don't have the signer in front of them and they can't verify a physical signature. This was the compromise that they agreed to. I had emails both from Jamie Fian and from the department this morning confirming that from Deputy Commissioner Russo.
Stood here and told us, she was here earlier. Ensure so, that's. Certificate of title based upon supporting documents meeting the requirements of this subdivision.
Yep.
All that back and forth for that.
Thinking the same thing. It's like, that's it.
Oh, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. Based upon supporting documents meeting the requirements of the subdivision.
Maybe a motion to-
So Lynn?
All right, well then. Everybody will vote on this one. The thumbs up or the thumbs down, for including this section or not. Thank you. Excuse me.
The next thing I have in here,
Is now, right? What was it for here? Way back on the first page.
oh,
It was.
so
And
a long session. It's a lot of cumulative sleepiness in these yawns.
What else we got?
So I don't know if you want to look at it or not. The hands-free texting language for commercial motor vehicles, I added in the exemption for hands-free use of the texting feature. But it's just 3 words in a new subdivision there. So do you want to look at that?
Or let's at least highlight it and then. We have to run this by, who else is gonna see this?
I think we're all set. I mean, just make clear, I mean, it's all underlined, so technically it's blue language, but that's what it mirrors identical to the pleasure cards, right? So while it's new in the commercial, it's not really new in the other part.
Is that what I'm, okay, what's throwing me off is it's all underlined.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but that's current law pleasure cards, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what pleasure cars have that you don't have for commercial motor vehicles is they also have an exemption for ignition interlock devices. But if you have a DUI conviction, you're not going to be driving a CMV. So that doesn't need to be in here. And then the definitions in the commercial motor vehicle are more extensive than in the pleasure car section, but when you get down to the actual language, it's essentially,
It's
Yeah.
retrofitted for.
yeah, there are slight differences, but none of them are substantive that I've been able to identify. So what I've highlighted here, or just the hands-free use, that's the one piece that was missing. That will true it up with the pleasure cars.
And this is a addition, this is not a
This
section.
is additional, so
This was not in the original S326 that came over.
yeah, this was proposed as an additional section from DMV. And if you look, much of this is existing law. You can see there's ununderlined or not underlined portions. So there's already a general prohibition on texting. Unless it's necessary to communicate with law enforcement officials and to make it line up with the pleasure car restrictions. They've added definitions. They've clarified that it's while driving a commercial motor vehicle on a public highway or in a location that is open to the public or the general circulation of vehicles. So if you are in a location that is closed to the public, generally open to the general circulation of vehicles, you could text and they're not going to penalize you for it. And then, sorry about that. The other piece that it adds in is these exemptions here, which weren't there previously. So hands-free use, activation or deactivation of hands-free use as long as the device is securely mounted, GPS use, and then instances where you may still be in the right of way, but you've pulled off the highway and you're in a safe location and stopped. So that's the change here. And the one that was missing is just this hands-free use on line 20.
So whoever reports this on the floor will be able to explain that.
I'll break it down to I'll figure out a less,
The pleasure vehicle to the commercial will be the same, the definition is the same. We are
Yeah.
having clarifying that the hands-free use.
Yeah.
Is okay, to use hands-free.
right? So,
But yeah, the whole point of this, or what triggered the conversation is when law enforcement pulled somebody over and they saw the phone in their hand, there was technically an out for that user because the way the law was written, right? So we just said, regardless if you're texting or not, it's in your hand. You're getting it, right? That's the whole point of this. Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so, the, there is language later on that says you shall not have it in your hand.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the general prohibition is you can't have a portable device in your hand. You can't be engaged in texting. But if you're touching it because you're using the GPS and it's securely mounted, or you're touching it to activate hands-free, you can't be penalized for that. And so it's kind of drawing these lines of like, where does the law fall?
Yeah, because this is current law, so we were gonna say, well, we already have this, but the reason is that there was a loophole for somebody just holding it and then the officer
Right.
trying to prove what they were doing. So no, they don't have to go down that road. You had it in your
If
hand.
it's in your hand, you are now in violation.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And we're clarifying, yeah, this is clarifying what's.
Yeah.
Right, so the voice texting with the device in your hand like this
Yeah.
and held up to your face is not permissible.
Right.
But voice texting if the device is secured.
Yeah.
And you're using the Bluetooth system in the vehicle is permissible.
Remind me why we had to go back to do commercial drivers. It's because what we did was only for pleasure cars.
That's right. There's express language in the,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, there's express language in the pleasure car provision that says the provisions of this section don't apply to commercial motor vehicles. So, yeah, there are several provisions in the statute where they're somewhat repetitive, but they're set out separately for commercial motor vehicles and pleasure cars. All right, the next thing that I have,
The last thing for today.
oh, yeah, we're getting,
Because you're on a schedule, we're happy to help you keep it.
appreciate that. Oh, this is an easy one.
Excellent. Well, as we've said, nothing is simple.
That's true. Hope I didn't just jinx it. So this is the additional limited use specialty vehicles per year on the registration language. It's just the addition of that one word. So instead of 12 per year, it's 12 additional.
Thank you.
So,
Where are we at now in section?
Section 24 in the new draft. So it's all the way down on page 16
Okay,
or 29, I'm sorry.
29, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah. A little bit of a lag on my laptop here.
Vehicle per year, well then, that makes it pretty easy to see 26 in visual emission inspection each year.
Yep. And
Same
then,
idea of trying to be consistent with the other specialty show cars, special vehicle cars, AMG cars, and hot rods and other. That we only drive on the road once a week.
great. So it's making sure that, yeah, essentially this will make sure that all the parts are there. You won't have to go through the diagnostic test. And it'll make sure that there are one of the things with the visual emissions inspection is you can't have cutouts or bypasses built into the system. So you can't weld on a pipe that pulls the exhaust past your catalytic converter.
All right, so now we need the very nice English speaking man to see the changes and tell us really true from. Test about everything.
Well, we could have him testify when we go up for our,
Yeah, test drive.
yeah.
I wish we'd have known about the grant, we're already up there. I'll get that part, if we. I think we're set with actually both those sections then, aren't we? Is that what we expressed or not? I don't want to speak for everybody.
Okay,
24 and 25, but I am gonna make sure that they're fine with their changes, but we're okay with these changes, this is what we're looking for. That we
Yeah.
agree.
yeah.
Okay. Unless there's another easy one, we're gonna go to,
26.
I was gonna say, we have a couple of easy ones and that's it for the,
I don't
The
know,
current
push my
draft.
luck with the word easy.
but,
Staples easy button is.
Oh.
Here we go.
Just go. Not so fast.
That's right, thank you. I appreciate you answering that call. You think I was picking on you, I'd be the other way, you're answering the call.
Back to section 25.
yeah,
I'm just reading this. Okay, notwithstanding the provisions of subsection of this subsection of this section, a limited use specialty vehicle registered pursuant to section 375 of this title shall undergo a safety inspection and visual emissions inspection each year, but shall not be required to undergo a visual emissions inspection.
thank you. This is, yeah, thank you. This is a unedited draft and I appreciate that. So that will now change to, here, I'll pull it up for you. Shall not be required to undergo an OBD systems inspection. So,
So we'll delete that visual
yeah,
emissions.
so if you look on the screen behind me, I've deleted it there. I appreciate it. This is why I appreciate folks looking at what I have, and it's why the editors are so valuable in my office, because after I've looked at this about 30 times, I stopped saying things like that. So, well, the license plates, we discussed this yesterday. So this is, I took the language from yesterday and dropped it into the draft. Except as otherwise provided by law, number plates shall be kept entirely unobscured, and the numbers and letters shall be plainly legible at all times. Person shall not color, tint, or change in any manner the numerals, letters, or background of the plate from their appearance at the time the plate was issued. And then down in subsection E, I've updated it for the deletion of the temporary paper plates that you could get online and print out at home. And then section 27 is the repeal of that section that authorized the electronic issuance of the temporary plates. And then the effective dates, because we've deleted the correction sections, whoops, too far. We're down to just one effective date. So made the word date singular and deleted the extended effective dates for the sections relating to corrections. I do still have notes that the committee is discussing things like the motorcycle exhaust provisions and other things, but that's the current draft. You've seen all of the updated language that I've finished.
That's the big topic. Those two are the big ones left. We have, so we're not gonna rush any more of them through. We are pick it up tomorrow. Is Thursday, so at 9:15, I'm sure, or somewhere close to that. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right, 9 o'clock downstairs.
9/11.
Downstairs, aviation day. I'll have to tell my boss, I gotta make it for 9 o'clock. Okay, thank you very much for your flexibility.